Red lights are on, and oh, that looked a bit keen from Sam Wright to me. I can't think he's going to get away with that now, Sam. What you need to do is keep your foot to the floor and build up a 10-second lead, because I reckon you might get a penalty as a result of that one. It's Ben Bolt, I think, that's moved up into second place, possibly, as they make their way down towards Cascades. Greg Catton didn't get particularly away well in the Dyson, but he might have got back to P2 now, as they drop down through Denton's and then to the left-hander at Cascades that takes them off on to Lakeside. Yes, it is. So it's Sam Wright leading, Greg Catton second, Ben Bolt third, Richard Verheyden fourth, and side by side for fifth, I think that's James Miles and Graham Wilson possibly. A good start by James Miles in that supercharged Austin 7 to get him up the order. And further back, you've got David Rose in the recreation of the Lotus 11. Or is that an original? Maybe an original, actually. Maybe doing it to disservice, but anyway, it's a great field that we have for this historic 750 Formula Series. A good start having been made by Sam Wright. A little bit too good. We'll see if there's any kind of penalty for that as this race goes on.
Well, the original Lotus 11s suggest, in my research indicates that they were built in the mid-50s, 1956 from memory, so be interesting to find out whether that is an original. Looking glorious this weekend. Oh, off the road is Sam Wright though, and that's at Hislops, and he ran a bit too deep, and here comes Greg Catton arriving back on the scene. Is the gearbox still playing up is the big question. Fourth position for the number 13 car of Ben Bolt. His Centaur Mark 16 is loitering around the top four positions, but at times that car looked very, very strong on the straights in the earlier race, particularly Lakeside. As then on towards Druids, the top three go absolutely together. Ben Bolt would like to be involved with that, but he's some work to do. And then it's Graham Wilson in the Time 3B, car number 7.
Looking at that, there's a 14 car coming through fairly strong as well. That's Ben Mile, who was right at the back of the grid as well. So we'll see what he can do from there. And he's heading off up towards Lodge Corner now. Leaders have already crossed the line at the end of lap 1, and they were side by side over the line. And it was just Greg Catton that's ahead. He's got the inside line for Oulton Corner as well. And Sam Wright trying to just drive around the outside of him, and he manages to do it. He manages to keep ahead with a bit of judicious use of the curb there. So Sam Wright holds on. Greg Catton second, Richard Verheyden in third. The top three covered by less than 1 second as they head through Cascades for the second time. Ben Bolt, number 13, is fourth. In fifth place is number 7, Graham Wilson. Sixth is 11, Richard Miles. And seventh, up 8 places on the opening lap has gone Ben Mile in the number 14 car, the Gerald Mark 1. As off into the pit lane, I'm afraid, once again, goes Trevor Slatter in the Isaacs, the sort of papaya-coloured McLaren-esque historic 750 Formula car.
You were spot on in your reading of the start of the race, though. It is going to be a 10-second penalty to Sam Wright for being too eager as the lights went out. He was already moving, and 46 thousandths of a second behind Catton will become 10 seconds, and that 46 thousandths effectively, that will be added, well, maybe at the end of the race rather than in the race, but we'll always have to remember that, of course. Wright was second. He's back to the race lead now, and it's a question of how far up the road can he get. Could still win the race, but has to be absolutely dominant now in the next 11 minutes to try and eke out effectively a second every minute that remains. And he wasn't showing that sort of pace earlier on in the day. Both Sam and Greg were separated in qualifying by a second. So it needs to be, well, that was per lap, I suppose. But we're not going to get a further 10 laps in this race. Can he stretch his legs anymore as he becomes more used to this car that is now in his hands, the Village V2?
Well, that's looking like a decent lead as he heads into Lodge for the second. I don't know if he's aware of the penalty as yet. He'll no doubt get a board as he crosses the line this time, saying 10-second penalty, car number 16. And I'm sure it's just his inexperience at getting the car off the line. He was just a bit too eager, wasn't he? He's crossed the line again to complete 2 laps, and the gap is 4.2. He's done a 2:13.094, which is about a second faster than he went in the earlier race. So he's found a lot of time, but they have now added that penalty onto the timing screen, so he has dropped down the order temporarily. Greg Catton leading then on corrected times from Richard Verheyden.
Well, no, because Verheyden's got past him, I think.
Okay.
And that happened, yes, that happened, I think, because maybe these gearbox problems are creeping in again for Greg Catton. So it's a question of, well, who wants to win this race at this stage, because the car on the road isn't leading. The green closed-wheel car coming back into its own now, but the all-blue with the long nose Verheyden car currently leads the race then, although not on the road. The race kit's Merlin, known as Miss Moneypenny for Richard Verheyden, is still ahead of Greg Catton's car.
Yeah, absolutely right. So good battle here. Richard Verheyden's not won a race overall, I don't think. Certainly not a scratch race. We sometimes have handicap races as well for the historic 750 Formula. But 2 scratch races here today at Oulton Park. And it's Verheyden leading from Catton in second place in this car that's owned by Greg. He bought it off eBay in 2022. Completely rebuilt it, procured an engine to support the VW Type 3 gearbox, which I think is the one that's now not playing ball completely, and had his first outing in 2023. A few issues he's had. He's tried to iron out over the past couple of seasons. But yeah, he's just in there behind Verheyden in that number 6 car, the lead of the race effectively, with that 10-second penalty being applied to Sam Wright. But we need to keep an eye on the gap that Sam Wright can build up here. Verheyden in the lead. He is 48 years of age, from the Alsace region of France, a manager in an aircraft maintenance company. Started racing in 2017, had some wins in the Austin class. He's done some sprint races in single-seaters in France as well. And yeah, he's in this 850cc engine, Reliant 850, which is new to him this season. Now, the gap on the road between Wright and Verheyden has come down on that lap, because it was a long lap for Wright, a 2:18.97. That's the last thing he needed, was to go all of a sudden nearly 6 seconds slower on that lap than he had the lap before. If he'd done the same lap time, he'd have been very nearly 10 seconds ahead, which is exactly what he does need. Watching the number 12 car going through there, that is Roderick Renfrew, who's second in Class A, behind Charlie Plain Jones, Class A being for the normally aspirated Austin 7s, and Renfrew there in that number 12 car, and 71-year-old retired electrician from Lincolnshire in his first season of racing, and some hill climbs, some motorcycle trials as well, and his car, 1933 Austin 7 Monoposto, which he admits has an unknown history. And as Johnny was saying, he almost sort of sits on top of the car, quite a high driving position. He's about to be lapped here by Sam Wright, who already, with under 7 minutes of the race to go, is going to get in amongst the traffic on lap 4 of the race.
One of the reasons why I think the Wright car was a tad slower on the previous lap, 2:18 plays its best to 2:13, was that there was a big lock-up for Sam Wright into Hislop's chicane. So he's overdriving, and I can understand, you know, that the result is that he's making 1 or 2 errors in an effort to build this 10-second gap. So shown as the race leader at this stage, but that doesn't include the penalty, does it? Well, no, actually, 1.8 seconds.
No, I don't think it does, because they're actually quite close on circuit.
Yeah, okay.
Although they were. So, no, I think that's the penalty's now not been sort of added as yet. We've had the indication that he's getting it, but it's not been applied.
Yeah, and yet on the previous lap, he was being shown in third, so that's why I'm getting slightly confused.
And I think the reason they've changed that is because it confuses the officials when they're trying to get the safety car out, if they need to get that, when the car that's actually leading is not shown as leading on the timer screen. So that's why that will have been sort of sorted out. He comes across the line, and the gap between them visually is about 5 seconds, something like that, first second. So he's pulled out a gap again. He's done another lap in the 2:13s that time, so back up speed. Meanwhile, Catton's back ahead of Verheyden for what may well become the victory in this race. Verheyden trying to fight back, though. Catton dealing with those gearbox issues that we've been hearing about. So they're across the line in second and third, and it's going to be Ben Bolt fourth, and Graham Wilson fifth over the line. But this still going on, the battle for the lead of the race. Just to say, one other piece of information that I've had, thanks again to Josh Barrett for this, the Lotus 11 we're talking about is a recreation, the car that's on the grid. It was built in New Zealand, actually, in 1980, and then it's been raced in South Africa, and it has a Coventry Climax engine, a standard Coventry Climax engine in it. That car, so that's the car of David Rose, which is running in 9th position. Meanwhile, the battle for what could become the lead rages on.
Yeah, I'm now remembering an incident from a good few years ago now. It actually happened at Rockingham Motor Speedway, to tell you how long ago it was. But when Matt Griffin was leading a British GT race, he was given an in-race penalty, dropping him back by 10 seconds. There was a safety car driver given the instruction to pick up the race leader, which of course Matt Griffin was not. Yeah. So he got waved by and into a huge lead.
Yeah.
And then I think around about that sort of time they said we need to address this. The officials said actually putting a penalty within the race on the timing screen is no good if there's then a mid-race caution. So that makes sense. That can then be all shaken out when the cars cross the line to see the checkered flag. We're obviously focusing on second and third on the road because these cars will be leading. Sam Wright, though, with a slightly better advantage by our eyes at Druids, but the Catton car turning right now at the double right-hander, the Dyson Type 64, still under quite a bit of pressure from the Verheyden-driven Race Kits Merlin, the Miss Moneypenny, as he has a long look up the inside. There is a gap there. Ooh, it was tight, wasn't it? And thankfully contact was avoided. I think in fairness, Catton saw him coming in the very, very small rear view mirror, and they will continue on in the same order.
Well, there we go. Here comes Catton then, still ahead of Hayden. Wright's lead now is 5.7 seconds. He's probably got 2 laps to go to pull out another 4.3 seconds if he's going to go through. The Dyson, actually, interestingly, John Bishop raced one of the cars, maybe not this car, but one like it, during 1967, when it held the Oulton Formula 1200 lap record. And he went on to win the club championship in 1968. So it's a lap record holding sort of type of car around here, the Dyson. And it's certainly pretty quick in Greg Catton's hands as well. Watching cars head down to Cascades a little bit further back down the order. This is Ben Bolt in number 13 in 4th place, and Graham Wilson number 7 in 5th place. And there's not been a lot to separate them all through the race. They were just about 0.2 of a second apart as they crossed the line that time, but that appears to have gone out again a little bit as they work their way around lap number 6 of the race, with one more to go at the end of this one.
Yep, so the minutes ticking by, any opportunity or a few opportunities to overtake maybe slipping away as well from the second place car of Richard Verheyden, although he's had some stabs at it already, and at times his little Race Kits Merlin looks slightly more manoeuvrable than the bigger footprint from the Dyson. By no means are either of these cars particularly large, but it's tricky to keep such a narrow wheelbase of the Race Kits Merlin behind, or at least fend off any sort of advances from Verheyden. They swing right through Druids, and even more of a speck on the horizon now is Sam Wright, waiting for him to appear at a dear leap. Again, a look up the inside into Lodge Corner from Verheyden, but he's a bit too far back. Now, I wonder what sort of distance, time-wise, we've got between the Wright car and Catton and Verheyden, who are absolutely together.
Well, I'm not sure Wright has come through.
I was going to say, where has he gone?
The last lap board has gone out, and up the inside goes Richard Verheyden into Oulton Corner to try and get away past Greg Catton. Yeah, he's into the pit lane now, is Sam Wright. So he's out of the race, it would seem to me. And it's Greg Catton and Richard Verheyden onto their last lap, and this is just a straight battle for the win now. No need to worry about 10-second penalties or anything like that. It's a straight fight for the victory, and it's Catton leading, Johnny, as they head down to Ireland for the final time.
So I wonder what Sam Wright's problem has been. There have been a couple of lockups, as he had in the earlier race. Now Verheyden to the inside of Ireland, but that is cut off by Greg Catton. So nothing between them again, heading for Shell Oils for this final time. And who will get the better of the exits out of that tight right-hand hairpin? Little puff of smoke again from Catton's car, but we've had that for much of the day, so I'm not majorly concerned by that. Focused entirely on the turning point. The two apices at Britain's are now forward momentum heading up the hill, over hilltop. Still good speed being offered by the Type 64 Dyson then of Greg Catton. They've obviously had the confusion of Sam Wright, although would anyone really have been communicating that to them necessarily? There wasn't a great deal they could have done about Sam Wright's pace, and it was more of a distraction maybe to know that information. Out of Knickerbrook for Hayden, not as close as he has been in previous laps, so making a break for it now. Greg Catton in the lead of the race.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Sam Wright's car still in the pit lane. Driver's still in the car as well. There you can see it. So disappointment for Sam, a win in his first race and a non-finish in race 2. Is Richard Verheyden going to be able to mount a late attack? They've got a back marker ahead of them. That's Charlie Plain Jones, so please go through on my right, gentlemen. And here comes Verheyden up the inside of Catton into the final corner, but just from too far back, I think, to make that work. They could try and get alongside on the run up to the line, and we know that the gearbox and Catton's car is a bit dubious. They are side by side as they come over the line. They take the checkered flag, and in the end, the gap between them is just over a tenth of a second. Catton, number 31, gets the victory from number 6, Richard Verheyden, in second place. And what a finish to the race that was. On the last lap, Verheyden did his best lap of the race, a 2-minute 14.655, so he was really pushing very hard there. Ben Bolt it was that took third position. In fourth place, it I think will be Graham Wilson, although he seems to have dropped Graham Wilson in the last couple of laps. He was 6 tenths behind at the start of the lap. Oh no, that was a back mark coming through, beg your pardon. Here's Ben Bolt, Graham Wilson it is, that comes through about 6 tenths of a second behind him, so a bit less than that in actual fact. So Bolt third, Wilson fourth. Then I think it's going to be Ben Mile in fifth I should say, and Peter Marsh in 6th to win in Class B. Mile has gone across the line now, and then in 6th place it will be Peter Marsh. They win in Class B. Charlie Plain Jones a lap down. He's already sealed the Class A win. Sam Wright, I can tell you, is out of his car already. Just having a look to see how soon we're able to go down to Kieran, because I know he's going to be in the assembly area ahead of the ultimate BMW race next. We're not going to hear from our top drivers in the historic 750 Formula Series, unfortunately. We're going to head to the assembly area instead. We'll get there just as soon as we can with the race now finished. I think all of the cars now, all very nearly, have crossed the line, so it was a win. I can tell you for Greg Catton in number 31, 7 laps completed for him, and he won by 0.121 seconds. Second place going the way of number 6, that was Richard Verheyden. Third place to number 13, Ben Bolt. Fourth place was number 7, Graham Wilson. In 5th place it was number 14, Ben Mile. 6th, number 8, Peter Marsh, winning his class. 7th was number 37. Oh, Kieran's back here, so we're not going to be hearing from him too soon. 7th was number 37, John Donnelly. There, as you can see on screen now. 8th was number 16. Well, shown at the moment, Sam Wright, but it will be dropped out of that because he didn't make it to the checkered flag. So 8th will be number 3, David Rose. 9th will be number 11, which was James Miles, and running out the top 10 will be Charlie Plain Jones. But that's been quite enjoyable watching these historic 750 Formula races today, Johnny.
Excellent racing, some of the best, I would say, although, of course, the BMWs at BMW Live have been a real highlight as well. But no, I've really enjoyed those races of variety, but even though it's so varied, clearly there are 1 or 2 cars that are near identical lap times, and it's just a shame that Sam Wright, with his relatively recent addition or purchase of the Village V2, still needs some work in terms of reliability. So car number 16 will come back fighting for sure. I'm sure Sam's got plenty of family and friends here in support, because he's from Southport, or Ormskirk as the programme suggests, and he'll be heading. Where do they head to next after Oulton, did you say? Sorry, you put that bit of paper away now.
I have. Yes, I have.
Not his local track is the bottom line.
Yeah, evidently.
This is the only visit, as we were talking about earlier on in the day.
Cadwell Park.
Okay,
is where they go.
So that is a bit of a trek for anyone that wants to follow Sam Wright's exploits, but he will be working hard on the spanners, as I'm sure will various colleagues, to make sure that village can push on, and maybe just 1 or 2 practices on the starts as well. as you say, early on in his career. He's 25, I think
Yeah.
you said. So still learning, and is clearly very fast. I mean, it's difficult if you've not got the raw pace to try and find that. If you've got the speed and then you just need to tidy things up here and there, then there's definitely a lot of hope for the future for Sam Wright, and he could be a multiple winner in years to come in the Raceparts historic 750 formula.
Right.